Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today we're just going to do a very quick video on Haru and his journey at Vitality. This is another going against the narrative video. This isn't so much like a widespread narrative, as sort of like one that's being spread a bit amongst like the Redditors mainly, but I have seen I Will Dominate comment on it, and I just feel like it's really worth like talking about. So what I'm talking about is people seeing like Haru as a scared jungler and talking about him not being good enough. Yes, this was inevitable. Haru was never seen as good enough. If you saw him on his time at X7, his ability was not his ability to play around players, it was his ability to coordinate with Tempt and play really well together. And, like, I'm sorry, a player like Perks, a player like, I've completely forgotten his name, Kazi, is not going to suddenly play around Haru, who is, like, objectively mechanically not good enough. So of course he's going to be playing not to lose because he just doesn't want to get flamed. Like he's gone to Vitality because he wants, like, obviously he wants the opportunity to prove himself, but he's probably spending like 90% of his time being flamed because he's just not that good, like mechanically. Like when you compare him to Bo and Selfmade, mechanically he is by far and away the worst jungler. Like I would argue you'd probably have, if you put Alfari in the jungle, he'd probably be a better mechanical jungler than Haru. Like he probably understands most of the jungle champs better than Haru does in terms of mechanics. However, and this is a big however, Haru is still a freaking sick player. Like the way he coordinates with his mid lane is really good. I don't know like what the comms were between him and Tempt, what they were like. I mean, they were the two Koreans on that team, so maybe they were communicating Korean, and that's why their coordination looks so good, and why they had arguably the best coordination of any player in ERLs, any players in ERLs, and why they did pretty decently at EU Masters. Um, but like as soon as you compare it with, as soon as you compare his mechanical ability, he's not a top player. Um, like if you put him in Korea, sorry, if you put him in Japan, let alone like any Korea, which is his home region, I would probably put him still as one of the weaker junglers, let alone LEC, where there's a whole host of talent. Um, is there anything like a real conclusion you can get from this? Maybe. I don't really know what Vitality were going for when they picked him up. Like it's a bit silly. Like if they picked Haru Tempt up and dropped self-made perks, I'd be like, wow, that's a bit crazy. In the sense that you're dropping two insane players for a unproven duo that couldn't even win EU Masters. Um, but at least you'd be like, it would make sense. Like I always think this Haru transfer has been a bit weird. Just from a vitality standpoint, it feels like they're regressing a bit back to pre-super team, which is a bit weird because they're a big org outside of League. So you'd have thought maybe they'd want to invest. I don't know. Um, and also they tend to be like a French team, and as you can see, they haven't got very many French players, or as you can know, they haven't got very many French players. Like they actually don't have any currently in their org. Despite the fact that in other games they have tried, sometimes succeeded, sometimes failed, to be an almost entirely French organization. So it's a little weird. Um, Not too sure what they're going to go for. Like I think in their signings they should have realised. They maybe haven't, but they should have realised that they've given up on this split. Um, because definitely having Haru as your starter is never going to be good enough to make worlds. Unless you have a team that coordinates really well with him and like fits his playstyle. Um, he's always gonna, and as soon as he's not around that, maybe he's always gonna look a bit like a scared jungler because he was fairly passive anyway, and he was like looking to work well round his mid laner who he coordinated so well with in the URLs. Um, Whereas like here he's not coordinating quite so well. I still think he looks the most like in tune with the rest of his team of any player on Vitality, which is crazy given the fact that he is the newest player. But it's interesting. That's pretty nice, Tardive. Um, yeah, it's an interesting decision. The signing, I'm trying to think. The signing was a really interesting decision, and I can't justify it. And like, but because they've made it, there's a level of expectation that comes with Haru, because he's on this super team replacing Self-Made. But there's no way he'd ever live up to that. And I think it's just a destined to fail thing. And they are aware that he was probably worth more than X7 valued him at, on the basis that X7's a very small org, that their original team didn't even make it to NLC Division 1. They had to buy Absolved, which is an even smaller orgs team, in order to do so. Um, and then they replaced them all. It was really weird. But like, I don't know. It seems like a really weird signing that's probably just destined to fail. And yeah, that's all I really have to say about it. Do you have any comments on Haru and his time at Vitality, or just Vitality in general, or you think I'm wrong? Feel free to leave a comment. Um, and also cheer for V3, because hopefully V3 maybe can get a massive upset win, which would be really exciting. I doubt it's going to happen, and having said it, I'll probably curse them again. Um, that's it from me. I'll see you in the next video.